Good day, friends. Whether you're watching this video live with me now, you are online later and seeing me at night, or a different day than today, welcome to this series on overthinking intuitive eating. And this is part two, this is video part two. And part one was a video about 3 days ago, so go check out the timestamp on that. And what we're going to talk about today, and maybe something you've experienced or you're just really confused about, is that it's normal to have all different kinds of hunger. Now, not all of you will experience all of it, but I think it's important that you know what they are, what it's about, and so you can stop overthinking what you're doing and basically allow this process to play out. Now, it doesn't mean that you're an inactive participant and you just eat and don't care, but it means that things feel differently depending on the circumstance. So I'm your host. My name is Tracy Brown. I'm a somatic dietitian and a tuning specialist. So all that means is that I work from a body, place, trauma-informed perspective, and I want to help you use your body as a resource to help you more accurately have signals of hunger and fullness, be less afraid of eating in full view in front of people, to take risk, and to certainly feel more comfortable and safe in the body you have. All right, well, let's dig in and get started about these different kinds of hunger. So, of course, if you've ever went on any kind of restrictive eating plan, you're probably going to have some level of built up energy deficit. Now, there are caveats, which I'm going to say those now. So those of you who are watching know that, like, I'm including you and I haven't forgotten you. A lot of people come to me, I never really went on diets too much. But if you've had pressure to eat less, to change your body, or as like a health, oh my gosh, your health kind of thing, and pressure to eat less and move more and weigh less. If you've had that experience, if you've been more in the health camp, not as much of like what I look like camp, but in the health camp of I have to be smaller to be healthier, but maybe you never lost weight, maybe you never went on a diet, or maybe you went on like a lifestyle plan and maybe you only had one diet or one kind of thing like that. This video is for you too, because if you've ever had restrictive thinking or rebellion eating, you're going to relate to a lot of these things in this video. All right, so of course, if you've been on any kind of eating less than your body calorically needs time, whether it was 6 months or 6 years or 6 decades, you're probably going to have an energy deficit. You're going to have some nutrient, like body nutrient depletion. And so, of course, when you stop restricting, you're going to have more hunger than maybe you're going to have in 2 years in this process. So that's really normal. I don't want us to overthink it. If you've ever been to a carnival of any kind, have you ever ridden the pirate ship, so you get on here and you're like this, and the boat swings you really high up in the air to this direction, you might come back way over here, some of us more than others, to like being really hungry and it not making sense because we're comparing it to the different levels of deprivation we've had over here. So we can't compare it because it's a different experience, and we're doing something new and different, which is we're trying to learn to eat based on body wants, needs, signals, those kind of things. So it's really normal to have an actual very visceral kind of hunger, and that can be really kind of, it look kind of normalish and not overwhelming. And for some people, you might experience extreme hunger. It's like, I just ate this sandwich, and then like an hour later, I feel like I can eat 2 more. Or it's like it never feels like it's going to stop. It does stop. And if you can let that process play out, it's a matter of months, but you can get to a place where you get to that equilibrium a lot faster than if you do this and you barely get over here and it gets kind of scary, and then you stop and you kind of back over here. There's a lot of energy that you're having to do to put the brakes on to do that. And I know it's exhausting and it's frustrating and it's scary, but if you can get with some safe company to allow more of this, you're more likely to not continue to have these big swings. And so there's energy deficit, of course, eating, because, if you've been on a diet, your body's going to want to replete that glycogen, that water, that nutrients, all the things that we depleted from our organs and our bones and all those kind of things. Besides just effective energy, we're going to need to replace that. And then the offshoot of that is extreme hunger, where you're eating, more than most people probably would eat, in a typical day, just because you've got lots of months and maybe decades of body mass repletion that needs to happen. It doesn't matter what your size is, by the way. You can definitely be in somebody who would be considered standard size or even a larger body, and that need to happen too. So the second kind of hunger that I work with people with to reinforce it's okay, let's work with it, is I call deprivation-driven eating or hunger. And deprivation-driven hunger can be that kind of hunger where you get to the end of the day and it's like, gosh, like I'm full, but I'm staring at the cabinet, still wanting to eat, but I don't have room for that. But what's wrong with me? Am I emotionally eating? Oftentimes not. Oftentimes the only thing that's happening is that maybe you accidentally underate at lunch or at breakfast, or maybe you're kind of still playing with faux dieting a little bit and not quite eating from full permission and putting the brakes on sooner than your body would like you to. So deprivation-driven eating means that, like, I want to eat. I'm not maybe like you might be super starving. And so that might mean deprivation-driven eating is going to, like, I ate a bunch of food and I kind of overshot my fullness. What happened? I can look at somebody's food and say, oh, well, you didn't eat quite enough all day. So you had a deficit really for this day, and your body's, pushing you to heal that deficit. And so I can bring on those feelings of, like, food preoccupation again and wanting higher energy foods. Of course, we're going to want higher energy foods, right? If you haven't eaten enough, you're not going to crave a salad. You're probably going to want to go for the higher carb or fat or combo foods like that pack a bigger punch in terms of getting that deficit fixed. The other kind of deprivation-driven eating that you're going to experience is the mental stuff of telling yourself, well, I had a cookie at lunch, so I can't really have one at dinner, and then you eat 6 versus have what you wanted when you wanted it. And so we can eat out of just mental deprivation. And I would say for me personally, I had weeks of months of that, because every day I would okay, I'm going to eat from hunger and fullness, but it was kind of the hunger and fullness diet. I wasn't really eating what I wanted. Sometimes I was cutting back more than, I shouldn't have been cutting back at all, but I was kind of skimping. And I was telling myself that I can only have certain things, certain times of the day. It's kind of like that whole clean eating kind of concept where you eat good all week and then you eat what you want all weekend. I was doing a lot of that, and that was back in the 90s when that was really popular. And I would not even really be dieting, but thinking about my diet, thinking about how maybe I could diet tomorrow. And that would be enough to cause it look like a binge, but it was more deprivation-driven eating, because I wouldn't really get sick or anything or get really, really full, but definitely eat in a way that didn't feel comfortable or didn't feel like, I don't think a normal eater would eat like this. And so that's number 2. Lastly, number 3, which we could call mouth hunger, mind hunger. Some people call it emotional eating, compulsive eating. That's where there's some overcoupling, of course. And we all know, and hope we agree here that it's not the worst thing in the world to eat emotionally to help yourself. But the issue is that over time, if that's your only tool for some relief or some pause or some pleasure, joy, pain relief, whatever, if that's your only tool, then it becomes an eating thing, and we don't want that. We want to be able to have, it's a tool, if nothing else is available and it works, and we're really aware, no problem. But what I find is that there can be some eating, and it can be a combination of all these, by the way. You could have some I'm really stressed and I didn't eat enough, and I've been telling myself also all day that I can't have dessert today. There's your combo right there. And so parsing these things out is really important. But without overthinking it, you can just do a really quick check-in with yourself, look at your food, or look at your food over 3 days, what's been going on. That tells you a lot. And so mouth, mind, emotional, and I'm going to say resonant hunger, which again, or resonant eating again, which is a term from Paula Scanloni and Rachel Lewis, and that's eating based off our nervous system state, which is if you're in high activation or low, if you're low, that's oftentimes we eat because that's overcoupled with those states as well. So eating to feel something because we're kind of numbed out, eating because we're revved up and to bring ourselves down, all that can happen. Of course, the other stuff of bored, and people report I'm eating because I'm bored or I'm sad or I had nothing fun going on in my life or not enough. Identifying that's really important, and what's happening on your plate is likely happening in your life. So I wonder if anybody else is resonating with any of these types of hungers. Let's not overthink them. Let's just first identify them. And then what does that type of hunger need? If you can be that transparent, honest with yourself, you're going to be a whole lot less scared about this process and probably have it go a lot smoother. So if you have any comments or questions below, please put them and tag me. You can always email me at tracybrownrd@gmail.com. And lastly, if you think somebody really needs to hear this and get some clarity and not feel so scared or overwhelmed by this process, please let them know about this video so they can get some clarity and maybe start on a different kind of path this week. So thank you all so much for watching, and we will continue our Overthinking Intuitive Eating series on Wednesday. Talk to you then. Bye for now.